You are listening to Lovely Talks Heavy. Hello everybody, and welcome to Lovely Talks Heavy. I am your host, Lovely, and I discuss everything I enjoy with regard to heavy music. 2 words: concert etiquette. Etiquette is a set of behaviors deemed acceptable depending on whatever situation or setting that you're in, and depending on the type of show one might go to, there are different levels of etiquette one might expect to have to adhere to. For example, a certain type of dress will be different between an orchestral performance of the works of Bach and a country music festival. For instance, you might see more casual, laid-back clothes at a country music festival because that's the sort of atmosphere people want to have at that sort of festival. Whereas at a classical music performance, things will be more clean-pressed and more formal. The types of applause will vary between those musical settings. The type of interpersonal interaction will vary between concert goers. This goes on. Now, what about a hard rock or heavy metal show or festival? One might initially think that there is an absence of need for etiquette at these types of shows due to the type of music that's being performed. We see a lot of songs in hard rock and heavy metal that send a message of "fuck your morals, I'll be who I want to be," or just encouraging people to find their own voice. Despite this, there are sets of behaviors that are expected within the heavy metal subculture and at concerts and shows and gatherings and what have you. There are some behaviors that people will be less stringent on. For instance, if one isn't wearing a Metallica shirt to a Metallica show, probably there won't be too big a fuss made about that, considering that, you're already wearing the shirt. You don't need to prove that you're a fan. Wait, no, reverse that. Considering you're already going to the show, you don't need to prove that you're a fan. On the flip side, if one were to start getting extremely pushy and interruptive to others, annoying them and dampening the good time they're having, then that would be way less acceptable. I've had a good handful of concert experiences, both amazing and annoying, and that I feel I can share a list of basic do's and don'ts to make not only your concert experience the best that it can be, but others as well. Do be friendly to others. It can be as simple as complimenting a person's shirt when you don't have to. However, it is helpful to pass the time between sets sometimes, because Lord knows how long that takes, to strike up a conversation with others around you. You don't need to get too deep into conversation or be the people's best friend after the show's over, but it can make the concert experience more fun in the end. Of course, you don't have to talk to others so much if you're not a talkative person, and that's perfectly fine. But at the very least, if others haven't given you good reason to be mean or snarky, or what have you, then just don't be mean. Here comes a don't. Don't act like you own the venue. Here is a fun little anecdote for this one. Once upon a time, long, long ago, when I was fresh out of high school, I was at a Katy Perry concert. Her D, what's Katy Perry got anything to do with this? Shut up and listen, I'll tell you. So, I'm with my group close to the stage waiting for the openers to start. And not too far from us, there's an older couple, maybe like in their 50s, 60s, that sort of thing. And the old guy is shouting for security to, quote, handle, unquote, a girl a few rows in front of us. Why? Was she getting violent? No. Was she saying offensive things? No. This guy was calling for security because this girl was committing the heinous crime of being on the phone with her friend and telling this friend where she was in the crowd so that they could find her and that they could be next to each other for the show. That's it! From the way that this old guy was making it sound, you would think she had slapped the 10 Commandments from Moses' very hands. But we were right next to the stage where there's no assigned seating in this particular section of the entire venue. And also, because of the location of our concert viewing vantage or what have you, we had to sign waivers stating that we understand that shit might get rowdy, we will get pushed, we will get shoved, we might fall and hurt ourselves, and it's not the venue's fault if that happens. But this couple, this old couple, was throwing fits because someone was, quote, cutting them in line. And this kept happening throughout the show. During Katy Perry's set, I merely took a step back from my spot in the crowd. Just one literal, actual step, because I needed just a bit of breathing room. You know, nothing claustrophobic. It's completely reasonable. Like, hey, oh, there's a bit of room. I'll stand there because I don't want to be touching shoulders with strangers. Not unreasonable. It was one literal, actual step. And the lady in that couple got right up in my ear and told me I was cutting her, which was ridiculous considering they were in front of me and my group. But whatever. I'm not even going to get into the fact that they brought literal actual children into what is essentially a mosh pit. Like, I know, I get it. Katy Perry's persona at the time was highly appealing to literal actual children, but what the fuck? I'm not a very tall person. 4'9". Let's share something about ourselves tonight. 4'9". These children were like smaller than I am. Still am. I haven't grown since I was in 8th grade. These kids are like no older than 10 years old, and you're bringing them into a literal actual mosh pit. Like, oh my god. Anyways, the point here. There are a million ways to be an asshole at a concert. One of them is acting like you own the place and telling everyone else how to be in a concert setting where shit will get rowdy. If you can't handle a couple of people moving in front of you at a concert, then it isn't the place for you. If you want assigned seating, then you should have gotten a ticket with assigned seating. Do listen to the security and staff. This is a bit of a rehash on that point I made in my episode about Q&A etiquette, but it doesn't hurt to refresh your memory. I don't know. Anyways. But this, again, mostly boils down to if the security and staff tell you to either move back or away from somewhere, put away your phone or camera, or simply to leave other people alone, then listen to them. They most likely will be short with you or act imposing or what you consider rude. Security and staff aren't there to be your best friends. This is their job, to make sure that people don't get out of line and hurt other people. Sure, heavy metal is a place where we can get balls out excited and jump the fuck up and ride a crazy train, or what have you, get into walls of death, that sort of thing. But we also live in an age where accountability is required from everyone at all angles, and that includes the performers and venues. If someone gets hurt, either concert attendees or the performer, then either the venue or performer will be held to a degree of responsibility. Sure, it might have been one individual that did whatever stupid thing, like hurt somebody or sexually assault somebody, but it is going to be on the venue because they're the ones that are responsible for any safety protocols that happen within said venue. The simplest preventative measure is for security to tell you to move the fuck back sometimes. And that's just how it is. It's a thankless job, but they're the ones that are willing to do it. Don't hurt other people. Now, this one is a bit broad and kind of simple, but let me explain. At concerts, our energy and mindsets can change a bit from how we normally act. We might get more excited and inclined to dance a bit more violently. We might lose ourselves and push each other way too hard to the ground, for instance. You might just want to get that perfect picture of 7 Mary 3 performing, and you end up elbowing a little 16-year-old in the face to do so. And I say that last one because it happened to me. Like, thankfully, somebody else was like, hey dude, move your fucking elbow. But anyways, you might be asking, what's heavy metal without a little violence? It's important to note that at a concert, you're not just harmlessly listening to Corey Taylor growl, fuck me, I'm all out of enemies, in the solitude and privacy of your room. There are thousands of other people with you. Just honestly, be careful in losing your inhibitions and try not to hurt others. And if you do accidentally hurt somebody and you realize it, just apologize, but don't hold it against them if they're not inclined to forgive you. But also keep in mind, hurting others isn't always an accidental thing. It can, and often is, an intentional thing. There are pedophiles, sexual harassers, rapists, homophobes, racists, and a lot more other kinds of characters who want to say some disgusting shit or do some disgusting shit for their own enjoyment at concerts. Now, if you are one of these kinds of people, fuck you, never show your face at a concert, nobody wants to deal with you. If you know somebody like this, shut that shit down, and if you don't know how to and you're still uncomfortable, you better fucking learn how to shut that shit down. Do look out for each other. Based on what I said in the last point, I just want to emphasize safety at concerts. Not just yours, but everyone else who paid $60 to have harmless fun and watch their favorite group play some music. Don't be going to concerts alone, and make sure to have a system in place where you can easily look out for each other. Don't act holier than thou about fan credibility. Now, if you're one of those people that sees a girl at a show and you feel you need to question her, quote, fan credibility, unquote, based on what she's wearing, just reel it in, buddy. Just reel it the hell in. There are a million other causes that are worth the energy you want to expend here. If you come at anyone with a mindset that you need to educate them on how to be a better Misfits fan or whatever, just fucking stop. No one wants to hear a lecture from Professor I once shook Peter Steele's sweaty hand and used the sweat as lube when I jerked off later, just fucking stop. Being a metal fan isn't a contest either. You don't need to raise the I jerked myself off with Peter Steele's hand sweat with I got the limited edition experience of letting Lemmy kill Mr. Fuck My Girlfriend. Have I mentioned no one wants to hear it because no one wants to hear it? Here's a dialogue of exactly when and how it's okay to, quote, educate, unquote, someone R.E. metal or R.E. life. Wow, dude, I dig your Lordy shirt. They're my favorite band. Holy shit, nice. I fucking love them. Have you seen that movie they were in? Because I loved it. Wait, Lordy was in a movie? Yeah, dude. It was called Dark Floors. I didn't know that. That's awesome. If you want, I can send you a link of where you can get it. Hell yeah, dude, thanks. You see how nice that exchange was? See how not terrible that little dialogue would be to experience? If another person harmlessly liking a band in a different way than you bothers you so much, then you need to do some introspection on exactly why that is. Because at the end of the day, if somebody doesn't know that Marilyn Manson's cover of Tainted Love is in fact a cover, then if it bothers you that much, it's not the end of the world. Just realize that. Do not fret on what shirt to wear. I know I touched on this earlier, but there's no cause for worry. If you don't want to wear a Metallica shirt to a Metallica show, people should understand that you are there to see whatever band is there performing. So long as you're not hurting anybody, wear whatever you feel comfortable wearing. And possibly keep in mind any indecency laws. Don't give strangers your life story. I mean, good life advice in general, yeah, maybe, but I only put this here in this episode because a couple of years ago, I saw Cradle of Filth perform. It was an awesome night. High school dream come true. Anyhow, while I was waiting for their set to start, or maybe it was during their set, I forget. This dude, drunk I might add, started asking me why his girlfriend was upset and showing me text messages and telling me this and that, and holy fuck, I did not care. It was so weird. I just wanted it to end. I just wanted to see some bands, play some music. Was that too much to ask? It's one thing to just start a fun, friendly conversation with somebody next to you that you don't know while you're waiting for the next band to come on, but on the flip side, don't hold it against somebody if they're not particularly interested in talking to you. Especially if you're digging for insight on your relationship issues at a Cradle of Filth show. Like, come on! Christ's sake. Do mind your alcohol and drug consumption. Now, it doesn't personally bother me if somebody wants to have a drink or intake some mind-altering substances. That's fine, you do you, but just realize that whatever you may do under the influence of such substances, you will be held accountable for. It's not the alcohol talking. It's not whatever powder, cocaine, what have you talking. That's you, okay? Be sure you're not hurting anybody, and most importantly, you're not hurting yourself. And that's all I'm gonna say on there. Finally, do have fun. It doesn't matter if a show is your first or 666th. It's important to have fun, and not hurt others. Be friendly, get excited, have a good time. I mean, unless the band sucks live and or any assholes I've described in this episode have been encountered, I'm so sorry. You're not getting your money back. My dude. Sorry. Better luck on the next one. And with that, I thank you for listening to this episode of Lovely Talks Heavy. If you enjoyed it, please share it. And if you want to follow me on social media, feel free. On Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, Mixcloud, and YouTube, my handle is simply Lovely Metalhead. If you have any feedback or suggestions, my ears are open. Until next week, next Saturday, the next episode of Lovely Talks Heavy, you stay brutal. Bye.